Tea time, yeah. Making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. This is tea time, yeah. Making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time, making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time, time.
Well, welcome. We are here for the last tea time this week, and tonight I am joined with the amazing Ashley Weckesser. I hope I'm saying her last name right. I'm going to get her to say it when she comes out, but I'm pretty sure I am. So tonight we're going to be talking about composing, composition, music design, all of that good stuff. So sit back, grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab a beer, grab a glass of wine. You don't need to drink tea on Tea Time with Miss Liz. So we're going to get started with the disclaimer and a little bio intro to Ashley, and then I'm going to get Ashley to join me, and we're going to spill a good, strong TEA with the music tonight on Tea Time with Miss Liz. So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz myself is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by Miss Liz myself is always brought forward in good faith, however, may bring forward dialogues and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussions for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to note that this show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in tonight's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that the show is not made for you, I will see you at a later show at a later date and time. And again, all tea times this year are done on a Thursday, unless it's a rescheduled tea time. So now I'm going to give you a little bit on Ashley, and then I'm going to get Ashley to come in here, and we're going to just spill a good, strong musical cup of tea tonight with you. So if you feel like dancing, get up and dance. If you feel like asking questions about music, design, visual arts, get those questions ready and put them in the comments. So Ashley Weckesser is an Edmonton, Alberta-based composer and interdisciplinary artist working in the fields of music and sound, visual arts, and theater. An early career artist, her instrumental and graphic scores worked here premiered at the University of Alberta Convocation Hall through the University Experimental Improvisation Assembly, the XiMe. I'll get her to share a little bit on that. On Contemporary Music Assembly and Edmonton's Ultraviolet Assembly. A recent graduate from the University of Alberta, she has studied compositions with Dr. Mark Hannesson and Dr. Scott Smallwood. Her current interests involve music design for video games and films, producing animated graphic scores, working with advanced music software such as Max MSP, and in visual arts. Her work has won awards for the best video game and auto design, multiple university scholarships, and recently her animated graphic score, A Composer Nightmare, has been featured in the Toronto 4th Multicultural Film Festival in 2021. For Ashley's full bio, you can check her out on Miss Liz's Facebook page, LinkedIn, and all of those good pages. Now, I want to get Ashley in here. I'm going to grab a sip of tea and get her to share a little bit on who she is. So, welcome, Ashley.
Hi.
So, Ashley, could you share a little bit on who you were as a little girl and who you are today?
So as a little girl, I was much smaller than I am today. When I was younger, I always got into mischief, always going on adventures. I always just had a very curious mind, and I am proud to say that I have retained that same curious mind and that same mindset of getting into mischief all the time.
So, mischief has gotten you into music, correct?
Yep.
So, how did that help you stay out of trouble?
Music? I think it's putting me into more trouble.
So, for the viewers and listeners out there that are watching Teatime tonight and that will watch the replay, can you tell us a little bit about who Ashley is and how you got started in writing music?
So I got started writing music, I guess, professionally when I first started university. That was my first exposure to formal training in music and all kinds of music. When I was younger, I did compose music. That was simply because I wanted to sound good on the piano, but I couldn't really read music very well, and my musical ear wasn't very good, so I couldn't replicate what I heard. And so, I still wanted to go off in front of the adults whenever we had guests over, and so I would just compose my own things on the piano, and it kind of, I continued to compose, but not, I'd take it seriously until I started university.
So, how young were you when you started playing piano?
Oh man, that is a great question. Whatever age people are at when they're in grade 2. Yes, grade 2.
Grade 2, so about 5 or 6, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
that sounds about right.
Did you do junior kindergarten and all that good stuff, or did you just start in kindergarten?
I did kindergarten and I did a little bit of preschool as well.
Okay. Yeah, so about 5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so Ashley, what was your number one composition that actually got noticed by public?
Are you referencing the one that got awards in my bio?
Yeah, is that the first one that really got the most notice? The most
yeah, I guess
recognition?
Yeah, I guess in terms of publicity, simply because that was with the University of Alberta, and I was taking a course where we had to design a video game from start to scratch in the course of 3 months. And so I was in charge of audio and music design. And then at the end of both the semesters for that year, BioWare, a major video game company here in Edmonton, would host awards. And our video game got submitted for multiple awards, and then it won the best audio and sound design, which was really exciting.
So how long did that take you to do?
My deadline was 3 months, but I don't know, I felt like I was very inspired with this video game. I was having a lot of fun with it. So I'd say after a month and a half to 2 months was when I was fully done the audio for it.
That's cool. So does the music just come to you, Ashley, or are you sitting with a notebook and writing it out? How do you come about doing this?
That's a really good question. I wish I had a straight answer for you.
Oh, I think I lost her. Where'd she go? I think we lost her. Let me just find out where she went. There we go. She's a bouncing little rabbit, this one.
Yes, you know my secret.
In the hole. We were talking about rabbit holes before we started this tea time.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly where I left off, or what was the last thing you heard?
All I heard was bloop, and you were gone. So
that's my secret. I guess more often than not, if I feel inspired, I find that the music really just kind of comes to me, and I guess to give a visual with it, it kind of just flows out of my hands because I compose on my keyboard, and it just kind of happens, I guess, which is kind of a really non-descriptive way of saying it. But I feel like that normally happens if I'm feeling very inspired and like feeling like, yes, I can write this piece. And I know exactly how it should feel, not necessarily how it should sound. Whereas then there's other times where, I'm completely stumped because one, it could be a project that I'm not inspired about, or two, it's a completely new genre that I have no familiarity with. And so for those, I often find myself just sitting and thinking, and sometimes I write down, but I'm a very visual person, I guess, in my head. So I like to prefabricate things in my mind first, and then I can make things, if that makes sense.
So do you write it out like after you've done it on the keyboard, then you go back and put it onto the notebook, or?
It's quite rare that I write it down on paper, like sheet music.
Okay.
It depends on the nature of the project. So if I'm writing something for live performers using your typical instruments like cello or piano or voice, then for sure I will write down on the paper. Sometimes I won't even be using my software. I'll go straight to the paper. But if it's just soundtrack stuff for video games, I won't write it out because I don't have the funds for these projects to hire performers.
So it all comes from you. Everything is all you.
Yes, for the most part, yeah.
Well, that's good though, because you're showing the other ones out there that you don't need that big team. Sometimes you can just do it. It might take a little longer, but you're showing them that it is possible to do it on your own. And I really that's really inspiring, because for the younger generation that are watching Tea Time and that will check it out later, they can say, you know what? Well, she did it by herself. Let me try it. So if you don't try, you don't know, right?
Well, exactly. No, you're totally right. And I found that it has been very challenging working with my resources that I have. I have a potato for a computer, and I have some I don't have all the things I would like to have basically as a producer or a composer. And so I have to accept that, it's not going to sound like a lot of the movie scores, but the quality behind it can still be, or I guess the intent behind it can be just as good, if not better in some instances. And I find it also fuels my creativity because that's limitation to me and kind of forces me to explore different avenues, which has been helpful.
Well, and I think it also shows you baby steps, right, to getting to that big film score, and that, we all have to start at the bottom and build ourselves up and slowly. And you've got some amazing awards here. So, I think you're doing awesome.
Thank you.
So how many instruments do you actually play, Ashley?
Oh, man. That is a great question. So I've studied a lot of instruments, and I feel like I'm quite familiar with a lot of the instrument families, like strings, woodwinds, brass. And so with that being said, I feel like it's very easy for me to pick up any instrument and to be able to play it. I don't think I could perform at a professional level with most of these instruments, but I can play these instruments and compose a little melody on them. So professionally, maybe 1, 2, but to compose on any instrument.
So where did you get the love of music?
I feel like I've always had it. I think my love for soundtracks, though, I can kind of pinpoint a time in my life where I just was completely taken back by a soundtrack. So I love music. Music has always been a part of my life, but I was in Europe at the time, and one of my friends played a song. It was one of the songs from How to Train Your Dragon. It's called Forbidden Friendship. Like I remember sitting there listening to it for the first time on these little crappy computer monitors, and like I was just in awe. Like this is a beautiful song, and it brought me to tears. Music tends to bring me to tears, but I just sat there crying, and this is the first time I've ever cried over a soundtrack, and I was just like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. And like the way that it interacted with my emotions and the way that it moved me and brought me to tears, I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, this is beautiful. What did I just stumble across?
And I love that you say emotions, because music and emotions do go together, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like you can tell, like when you listen to a hard song, like we were talking about this in the back, like when you listen to a heavy metal song or like a heavy rap, you're like, like you said, your friend makes soup and listens to rap, so. So what do you turn to when you're making soup?
I probably turn to ABBA.
Oh, well, look at you. She's like boogieing it, disco dancing, making soup.
Oh, yeah. You got to put all those moves into the soup.
Right? Extra flavored. Dance
yeah.
on the flow, right? And if anybody hasn't seen ABBA, you should go see ABBA, because that is a good movie. So I want to talk to you about a little bit about sound design, because we have a couple young viewers that are listening, and they want to know a little bit about sound design. So how did you get into that, and where can they get into that?
So sound design is very different from music design. In my experiences, I've been the only audio person on my team, and so I've typically been in charge of both. I got into sound design as a consequence of my degree. I got a certificate in video game development, and so like I said before, I was the only audio person, and so just naturally I got into more sound design. But as I worked on some more projects that branch away from the genre of video game, it's been interesting integrating sound design and a lot of other musical elements in with the actual musical score and kind of have them interact with each other. And so if you want to get started with sound design, a good place to start is simply building up your own library of sound effects, or just listening to your surroundings and seeing what you like and what you don't like, figuring out where these sources come from, how you could replicate them, and then just take a video off of online somewhere, a video that you have, and try putting your own sound effects to it.
So sound design is more like breaking of glass and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, compared to the sound of music, where it's the flow of the keys and the organs and stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. The music composition part.
Okay, so that's where the difference is. So yeah, because we had a question here. So what was the difference? So yeah, we kind of answered it as we were talking about it. So and the visual arts. What is it about the visual arts that really grabs you, Ashley?
I'm a very visual person, and so naturally, if I think that something's striking, it's going to really impact me and captivate me. And so, yeah, I don't know. My mom, she was an artist. She did a lot of graphic design. She was always doing arts and crafts, and so I feel like that kind of rubbed off onto me, I guess. And like, I love art. All the visual arts, I think they're just beautiful.
Yeah, because when I asked Ashley for her favorite color, she gave me a list, this girl, and she gave me like detailed colors. I was just like, okay, it's not a yellow, it's a mustard yellow, it's a russet orange. Okay, I got it.
I should have gave you hex values for them.
And I was like, no, I kind of like that, because most people will give me one color, but you gave me like a whole range of colors. And I try to wear the colors that my guests give me. So I'm like, okay, what do I have that has most of these colors? So that's why this top is on, because it's got like a little bit of the mustard in it, and then it's got the rusted orange in it. So I'm like, I think I got a couple.
It's a beautiful palette.
Well, thank you. So what is it about those colors? Because I do have the colors here. So let's start with the first one. And the first one is the mustard yellow. So what is it about mustard yellow?
Oh, that's honestly, I don't know. I feel like these colors just kind of evoke emotions that are just inexplicable. It's kind of like asking somebody to describe the taste of salt.
Well, I noticed like the most of the colors you gave me, like you gave me mustard yellow, you gave me copper orange, brass yellow, gold, burnt orange, tan, linen, navy blue, and teal. And they're kind of like spring and fall colors.
Mm-hmm.
So do you
Yeah.
like, what is your favorite season?
Spring and fall.
And that's where the colors come from. So the colors come from the seasons that really draw you.
Mhm.
So in your
Yeah.
music, do you find that you go to those kind of colors? Like I feel colors have like sounds to them as well, right? Like they have like different tones. Do you feel that
Mhm.
way?
I think that's really interesting because I've heard that before. A lot of people, I even had a class where one of my professors was like, what color do you see when you hear this note? And to be honest, I've actually never seen colors with music.
Oh,
I kind of see shapes and shadows because to me, the music tells me a story rather than a feeling. And it's from the story that I derive feeling. So I kind of like my mind seems to add a little extra step in there and insert shapes instead of colors.
well, that's different. That's really interesting that you see that, like you see shapes and shadows. So
Mhm.
like are they like different tones of shadows? Maybe that's where the colors come in, is the shadowing of the colors?
It's totally possible. I think it's really abstract, and you're actually the first person to ever kind of dive deeper into it. Normally, they kind of give up with the conversation as soon as I say shapes.
I like deep. I'm a strong T, so I like to,
Yeah,
really get into it and figure out why we do what we do, right? Why
yeah.
you're attracted to this, and why your heart feels, and your purpose and your why feels that I need to do this. It brings me
Hmm.
joy. It brings me, it inspires me. And your music has inspired a lot of people because you've gotten those awards. So obviously there are a lot of people that really enjoy your music as well, you know.
Hmm.
Which one did you enjoy doing the most, Ashley?
Out of all of my projects,
Yeah, out of all of your projects, which one is your baby?
oh my, choosing a favorite child. Um, oh boy, my brain's freezing up. It goes like this one. Wait, no, this project. I think the most memorable project for me. Uh, I was saying these words to hope that my brain would choose a certain direction and choose a project, but then it started panicking again. Oh my gosh. Okay, the most avant garde, the most out there, unorthodox project I've ever worked on, and for those reasons it's memorable, is A Composer's Nightmare.
So the nightmare one is the one that.
Yeah, the animated score. That is by far the most bizarre musical creation I have come up with.
And that's the one that you did for the video game, correct?
No, this one is the one that was entered into the Toronto Film Festival.
Okay, yeah. So what was it about that one? Like, is that the one that you worked the hardest on, or?
It was very challenging, but for different reasons. It was difficult because this type of notation, it's animated, and so it required me to be able to know how to do flip pad animation. So basically I had to draw out the score then draw it out again with one note moving a very tiny increment at a time, and like having all these layers and layers and layers. I think there's like probably over 1,000 images just to create this short.
Wow. And how long are your compositions?
That normally depends on the project. So a composer's nightmare is around 10 minutes in length.
Oh. So 10 minutes. Go check it out. Check out that and check it out. So Ashley, you also like to do collaboration. So what do you like to collaborate with? Is it music? Is it visual arts? Is it the films? What do you like collaborating on?
Honestly, anything. When people come to me with a project like, hey, do you want to do music and sound design for this? I plan to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yep, absolutely, count me in. The ideal collaboration for me is to someday score for a film. I would love that. That'd be amazing.
So that's your dream, is to get into the films, like the scores of films. I think you're already halfway there, girl.
Thank you.
You never know who come knocking on your door and say, Ashley, come and help me.
Oh man, the day that happens, I'll probably cry. I'll be so excited.
So Ashley, we have a question here about emotions. When you're writing a composition, when you're creating a piece, do you cry? Do you laugh? Do you giggle? Like, they want to know what your emotions are when you're creating.
Yes, I definitely express them. And if you were to be a fly on the wall during my creation process, you would think I have gone mad. Because I not only express those emotions, I also talk to myself. I talk to my computer. Like, if something goes wrong, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what? Why'd you do that?
Yeah, she goes down that rabbit hole.
yeah, it's quite the sight.
I think it's a good time to ask Ashley, what is your tea? What words would you give me for your tea tonight?
Yes. I'd say teachable, eccentric, and adventurous.
Oh, do you want to tell me why you picked those words?
Yes. So teachable, I love to learn. And so I hope that for those who are teaching me and who have taught me, you know, assume that I have a teachable attitude. I like to be teachable. So, because, you know, I want people to teach me things. Eccentric, because I'm eccentric. I'm crazy. I am not afraid to go outside of the norms, to explore the unknown, to be unorthodox. You know, I'll wear sandals and socks midwinter, you know. I'm that kind of person. And then adventurous, I love, it kind of goes with eccentric a little bit. I love exploring the unknown. I have a very inquisitive and very curious mind. And so, and I'm not afraid to explore my questions as well. And so I love going on adventures.
So where's the craziest adventure you've ever gone to? Or have done?
I think the craziest for me was going to Taiwan for 6 weeks.
Oh, do you want to share a little bit on that?
Yeah, I was I think halfway through my university studies at the time, and I felt like I really need to just get out of the country, just go traveling, because I also just love to travel. But when I travel, more often than not, I feel guilty if I travel just for myself. I don't know. It's just this weird feeling I get with selfish traveling, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. Anyways, and so I was just trying to think of opportunities for me to go abroad where I wouldn't feel guilty and like I could, you know, maybe help somebody or do something. Anyways, I was in a lecture for Earth and Atmosphere Sciences. So I was learning about rocks at the time. Super random. And this group comes in and they're like, hey, we are this volunteer organization. We're looking for volunteers to go abroad and to teach in various schools. I'm like, well, sign me up, like right away. Yeah, I'm like, this is perfect. Thank you, rock class. Anyways, and so through this organization, I get set up to go to Taiwan and volunteer at this elementary school. And the school had arranged for me to have host families. And I fly to Taiwan halfway across the world, not knowing anybody who I was going to meet. I didn't know anything about the culture because this was my first experience with the Eastern cultures. And I didn't know any of the language. And yeah, it was quite a distance to travel by myself. And I didn't think anything of it until the plane landed in Taiwan. I was like, what the heck am I doing? Like,
where am I going now?
Yeah. But it was honestly the most amazing experience ever. And if anybody out there wants to travel somewhere, I would highly recommend going somewhere where you know absolutely nothing about and just being open to it. I told myself on the plane, I was a little bit afraid about the cuisine of that area. And I told myself that I had to try everything at least once before I could say I didn't like it. And I feel like that just really opened me up to everything else. And like, it was amazing. It was incredible.
So how long was that trip for?
That was for 6 weeks.
Oh, well, look at that. And did you learn anything different from Taiwan, like music-wise, or?
Oh, yeah. I actually bought an erhu, which is a traditional instrument they have. And I bought one there and brought it back with me.
So what kind of sound does that make?
Well, when I play it, they say it sounds like I'm killing chickens. It's supposed to sound nice. It's really hard to describe.
So is it like a horn? Is it like a flute? Like
oh, okay. It's
so
not like
thing look like.
It's definitely not like a chicken. It's picture it. It's a string instrument. Okay. It has two strings on it. But so violins, how they resonate, how they get the vibrations out into the air, it's through a wooden frame. Okay. Whereas an erhu, it sends the vibrations. It has a wooden frame, but it also has some sort of reptile skin. I think it's snake or something. And the way that it's structured well, it gives the string resonance a slightly different texture. But yeah, if you looked up erhu and people playing erhu, you would recognize it. It's very, very well known.
Oh, I'm going to have to check it out. And you'll have to send me a video of you killing some chickens.
Oh my gosh. Will do.
So Ashley, when it comes to music, for the younger generation out there, what do you want to encourage about music to them?
I want to encourage expression and emotion. I think music has these very beautiful qualities and characteristics about it that allow us to really connect with our emotions, but not only our emotions, but our subconscious as well. And I feel that it kind of helps us to connect emotionally with others as well, not just with ourselves. And so I would really encourage to express yourself through these emotions, to be willing to listen to other people expressing these emotions. And I think you'll surprise yourself with how beautiful of an experience you can have and how connected you can actually feel to maybe even complete strangers.
I like how you put the expression and the emotion together, because it's the connection of human contact, right? And the music that in the body and the emotions play. So when you're working with other people on different projects and that, are you very expressive? Are you like really deep, like a deep thinker, get into the emotions? Like, are you that crazy mad lady that you're like in the room there talking to the laptop, or are you more laid back when you're working with people?
I'm definitely more, I have more filters on when I'm around people.
She's not going down no rabbit holes when she's with people.
Yeah, I try not to. When I do, I get a lot of weird looks and they just start laughing at me. I think I guess from experience from a lot of my collaborative projects, I kind of act like a sponge in a way. And I kind of sit back and just take in everything. Like I try to create this story and try to understand the story and the messages to be told. And I try to understand the emotions, the sentiments behind everything. And then I try to kind of create, I guess, that shape. I guess the shape is probably the best way to explain it. Like this, I don't know, this being, it kind of creates something magical. It's really hard to describe. And then I try to infuse my music with that.
Oh, I love that word, infuse. That's really a strong word, and you're talking about the sponge, how you're soaking it all up, right? And then somebody just comes and squeezes that sponge, and then poof, it opens up and everything is out, right? So
yeah.
I like the way that you describe that, because that's how you put a music together, right? You put it all together in this big pot. It's like that soup again. We're back to the soup.
Yeah.
And we just, scoop the soup out. And we actually have like a magical piece that we had no idea where it was going to go or how it was going to come together. But at the end of it, it came as a beautiful piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that you keep mentioning like the sponge got a shape and the rocks that you went like on your journey, it's the different shapes that really grab you. It's the shapes and shadows of things that,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's really interesting, and it's really, really deep emotions, because like a sponge is light, right? And then the rocks are heavy. So it's almost like you're getting a light sound and you're getting a hard sound and you're getting, then you're getting a medium sound. So it's almost like Miss Liz is going to create a song here. I'm gonna get Ashley to squeeze the sponge to play and kill the chickens and
that's very poetic.
It's gonna be a magical piece, and we'll just call it Miss Liz's Crazy Tea, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get into soundtracks because you're big on soundtracks. So for people that don't know what soundtracks are, could you share a little bit what that is? I'm sure people do, but not everybody might know what a soundtrack is.
Mm-hmm. Basically a soundtrack is just a piece of music to accompany linear media. So it's typically for film, or I guess maybe I shouldn't say linear media, because it also soundtracks are in video games, which is very much not linear. So yeah, it's piece of music to accompany media.
So have you ever done one for a comic book?
No, but I would love to. That sounds awesome.
Right? I was just like, I could see you doing a comic book. You got the sponge, you got the rocks, you got like all these superheroes are coming in, they're moving the rocks. And
that would be awesome. That would be so cool.
I think that would be cool if we started having, pieces for comic books. You open up the comic book and you got this piece,
That's actually really interesting that you do that, because for one of my projects in university, I programmed my own version of X's and O's. So it's just kind of like a tabletop game, but I didn't have the time to actually make a physical copy of it. It was just on the computer screen. And the way it was programmed was that it would produce a soundtrack music, I guess a soundtrack that was custom made to the two players playing that game. So when the players would move their pieces around, it would directly alter and influence the soundtrack. And I wanted to be able to figure out a way to do this on an actual physical copy, and it would actually produce music as you played it.
Oh, look at that. See, we opened the door. She's going to get to work. She's going to new project. Miss Liz just gave you a project. I gave you homework, Ashley.
Excellent. I've been missing homework.
So I want to understand a little bit about the MX and the MSP. What is that all about?
Actually, that's great that you just asked that, because the project I just talked about, the programming bit, that is Max MSP. So it's an advanced music language. So it's a software that allows you to program, but a lot of the program presets that it has are around music. So for example, I could take a webcam and I can make it track my hand. And I could say that when my hand is at this height, it will send values to that program. And I could say, play this note. And then when I move my hand, I just get it to track all these values, and I can program it in Max MSP to play back different sounds.
So the higher the hand, the lower the sound, or the lower the hand, the higher the sound?
Well, it could be whatever you want. And like, that's what's so beautiful about this program, this software, Max MSP, is that really the world's your oyster. You can do a lot of incredible things with it.
So, and you're also into animated graphic scores. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so A Composer's Nightmare, the one I was talking about, that is an animated graphic score. I'm not sure if I've completely made up that term. I'm not too sure. I have yet to find somebody else who's ever done the same thing as me. So I'll try to explain it is, which is a difficult thing to do because an animated graphic story is something that's super visual. But imagine a piece of paper and it has notation written on it, so sheet music. So think of like your piano book. That's just traditional notated music. Now imagine an image is inserted in the middle of that sheet music, middle of the notes, and that image could potentially be interacting with the notes, or there could be shapes on it. That is known as a graphic score. So that means that the performer can, look at that square and interpret that square instead of the notes, or interpret how the notes interact with the square. An animated graphic score is that I've taken it one step further. And so we have a graphic score, but it's moving. And so now the performers don't have, not only have to worry about just the images inserted into their score, but 1 second their quarter note could be there, and the next second their quarter note could have turned into a stick figure.
Wow. That's truly amazing. Like, we don't understand all the little things that are to put music together, you turn on a song and you're just like, oh, that's a cool song, but you don't understand all of the work that's in behind that song and that piece, right? There's many different steps. So how many steps is in a composition? Or does it go different steps, like different levels? Like, how does that work?
The steps could be anywhere from 1 to an infinite amount. It's depends on the project, but it also depends on how they choose to think about things as well. There can be a lot of steps.
So there's like different. So when you're putting a piece together, do you start a little bit over here, a little bit over here, and then you just bring it together, or do you just take it step by step?
I follow the steps when it comes to polishing and doing, like, finishing up the final product. But everything before that, it's derived from that image, that character I've created, that shape that's in my mind. And so that is, I don't know how that normally happens. It just kind of flows at that point.
So kind of like just like a smooth cup of tea that you just take and you spill on the floor. It just kind of flows together.
Yeah. And then I follow the steps to publish that tea spill.
I'm going to get her to do a piece yet. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the incredible people you worked with. You worked with Dr. Mark Hannesson and Dr. Scott Smallwood. So do you want to share a little bit on those guys?
Yeah, they were my professors. They were patient enough to deal with me and my crazy ideas throughout my university career. And they're very talented professors, and they had a lot of great insights for me to help me learn and grow as I studied at the U of A.
So we have a question here for you, Ashley. Who inspired you to do the work that you do?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like different people inspire me for different reasons. So I guess a very generic answer would be just life. inspires me. But yeah, for very specific reasons, I have different people that inspire me for certain things. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I want to get into your one word. When I asked you to give me one word to describe yourself, you gave me rejuvenate. So why that word?
Oh, was that to describe myself?
Yeah, that was to describe you.
Oh, I thought it was to describe the colors.
Oh, well, look at you. I keep you on your toes tonight, girl.
Yeah. Now I have to think rejuvenate, how that describes me.
Okay, so share a little bit on how it describes the colors that you gave me.
They're very natural toned colors. And as we discussed, there are a lot of spring and fall colors. And I find that spring and fall both are a time of rejuvenation because new life and new death are both very important in I guess in a cycle together, and they're both rejuvenating in their own respective senses.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, Ashley. So
Excellent.
Give me one word that describes you as a person.
One word. Passionate.
And why that word?
I get very excited about everything. My friends can attest to this, but there's just to give you an example of what it's like for me sometimes. I found some dice. They were 6-sided dice, and there were 6 of them, and they were made from gemstones.
Oh.
And I was so excited. I was losing my mind. I was very verbal about my excitement, saying over and over again, "Isn't this awesome? Isn't this awesome?" Like, yes, Ashley, we've already told you 10 times how awesome it is. And I sometimes get so excited that I can't sit still when I'm super excited about something, and sometimes my eyes start watering up. It really sounds like I cry a lot, but I don't know. It's just really cool.
And where did you find these dice?
I found them at a market.
So did you write a song about them?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, not yet. So she's working on it. So are you working on a project right now, Ashley?
Yes, I'm working on many projects.
So do you have anything coming out soon?
Yeah, actually on May 20th, I believe, I have a single that I'm releasing because on the 19th, 2 of my friends are getting married. And so I composed a song for them to dance to for their first dance at their wedding.
That is nice.
Yeah. And I decided to release it the day after they got married, just so that, they couldn't hear the song before their first dance. So I had to keep it secret.
Well, that is really nice because that's something that, you can't, it's really personal, right? It's one of a kind, nobody else is doing that. I think that's really nice and special.
Thanks.
So what message do you have for the kids or even adults that are into music? What message do you have for them tonight?
Keep exploring it and don't be afraid to try things, whether you want to listen to a new style or you want to perform or you want to create music. Just do it. It's very rewarding and it's a beautiful thing.
So where can people go to learn? You're doing yours from home in your little studio, right? So can they do it from home? What instruments do they need? What kind of material do they need to get?
There are a lot of resources online. YouTube is just a hub for tutorials about anything you could ever want. So there's a lot of great tutorials on YouTube for producing music and where to start. What's really important is to have something we call a DAW, a digital audio workstation. Okay. And that's essentially a software on a computer that kind of takes MIDI input, or you can put recordings into, and that's where you can change and alter the music in there. It's kind of like the headquarters, I guess, for of audio related softwares or hardware.
So I want to get into, you have it here that you feel that music is storytelling. So why do you feel it's like storytelling?
I personally think that all music tells a story. I think the reason behind that is just because it's so visual for me, and I feel like I see and feel the story. But I also feel that the emotions behind music help in the storytelling as well. And so I guess I'm speaking about music that doesn't have lyrics, but even if you listen to music with lyrics, the lyrics are telling a story. Soundtrack's a little more difficult to grasp the story just because we don't have lyrics telling us verbatim what the story is.
So in your bio here, it says, it is the bridge by which we can cross into the land of our subconsciousness. Subconscious? I think I'm saying it right. And transcend our self-awareness it inspires. So what do you mean by that statement?
So I'm the strong believer that music possesses qualities beyond our comprehension. And the reason why I believe in that is just simply reflecting on my experiences with music. And I also took a music therapy course when I was in the University of Alberta, and I did research on the physical impact of music on the brain as well. And it's really, truly an amazing thing. And music has the ability to activate areas of a brain that normally don't get activated by regular activity. And so with this increased activation of the brain, kind of helps us to have this increased awareness and ability to perform, whether that be physical tasks or mental tasks. And I really think that music helps us to really connect. It's kind of like a conduit by which we can actually understand a little bit more about ourselves. We can understand our emotions a little bit more. And this topic is a lot of what music therapy dives into, because music therapy is typically just, it's using music to heal, whether that be mental or physical.
And that's something we really don't talk about, right? Mm-hmm. We don't talk about music therapy very much. So when does music therapy come into, is that during like when someone has Alzheimer's or dementia, or is it like to overcome trauma? Like when do we use music therapy?
For all those examples you listed, as well as music and audio cues have been used in physiotherapy as well. So, for example, there's a case study that I had read that somebody had brain damage. And so in their physiotherapy, they started playing musical tones, and it would light up areas of the brain because they had the monitors hooked up to their patient. And it would highlight areas of the brain that were activated and they weren't damaged. And so basically this patient had to relearn basic skills. And our brains are very moldable. They can change. And so when they played these tones, and then they would teach this patient a basic motor skill, like picking up a cup, they were actually able to regain those skills even though the primary area was damaged. But because the music activated the other area and made it accessible when learning those new skills then got inserted into that new area. And so they were able to regain their motor skills. And like, that's just like a very surface level understanding, because I'm by no means an expert on it, but it's incredible. Like, even if people go running, they'll often listen to music that has a good beat. And like that beat helps us activate our muscles and keeps us going with that as well. So physiotherapy, if you're trying to, work on your legs, or you're trying to work on your gait, like you're walking, they'll often play beats at a regular beat to help the patient.
And that's a topic I haven't had on Teatime, and I think that's really an interesting topic to bring to the table, is music therapy because like you said, for physio and for dementia, for mental health, and exercising. Like when we go for our walks or we do exercise for 30 minutes or whatever, we have music in our ears a lot of times. So uh, the music does work with the body a lot.
Hmm.
So where did you go for music therapy? Was it in Alberta or?
It was a course that I took just when I was at university. It was a supplementary course. And so it was just one semester. And the professor was a music therapist, and she just taught us the basics. And it was really interesting. I was skeptical at first. I was like, yeah, right, music therapy. I mean, like, I love music, but I was very skeptical about it. But now I'm like totally sold on the idea. I was like, wow, I'm a fool.
Well, I really love your attitude, Ashley. Like you're really cheerful. You're very sometimes we have to be silly. We have to be goofy. When our anxiety gets to us, and the stress, and
Mhm.
we feel like so many people are like looking at us. We just gotta be silly. We gotta go down that rabbit hole. Like you popped out and then you pop back in.
Yeah.
It's just the way life works. Sometimes we just gotta go down the rabbit hole and we just gotta be fun. We gotta have that excitement and that. So I really want to thank you, Ashley, for joining me tonight on Tea Time. I've had a blast. Like it's been exciting, and I've learned so many things. I got so many little notes here, but I really think music therapy is something that Miss Liz needs to bring to the table. So thank you for that, Ashley.
Mhm.
I really, really appreciate that. So, uh, is there any way we can hear a piece from you on the spot?
Cool. On the spot. I think that'll have to come from your end. You can look up, I have some pieces on my website if you'd like to.
Let me see if I can get that going. And I just want everyone. So, actually, if anybody would like to reach you, how can they reach you?
You can go to my website and then go to the contact page, and that is probably the best way to reach me.
And what is your website for the audio people?
It is aweckesser.com, and I'll spell that out. It's AWECKESSER.com.
Awesome. I'm just going to see if this is going to work. I'm going to see if I can do it. If I can do it, we're going to listen to a little bit of Ashley's piece here. Do. I haven't done this in so long. I should have thought of doing this a little earlier. Okay, share screen. Let's go. Where are we going? We're going share screen. And we're going
Okay.
here. And we're going to share with the audio. So I'm going to just put this on and we're going to just close up tea time with listening to a little bit of Ashley's Undying I have here. I am hoping that it's going to work. Let's see if this is going to work. You let me know if you can hear it, Ashley.
So far, I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything? Well, I'm going to. Oh, can you hear it now, Ashley?
No.
No. Well, we tried it. But I'm going to put it up. And Ashley, I really want to thank you for joining me. And we're going to get into play. I can hear it, but I don't think anybody else can hear it. So I want to thank you again, Ashley, for really just opening that door and the music for everyone out there. And again, check out Ashley's website. Check her check out the work. And if you'd like to connect with her, collaborate with Ashley, you're more than welcome to. If you need to connect with Ashley, you can always reach out to Miss Liz and I'll connect you to. I love collaborating as well. So if you ever need anything, Ashley, I'm just a cup of tea away. I want to thank all the listeners and viewers tonight, all your questions that came in. Ashley, I want to thank you for your silliness and your and openness and different interview. This is what I love about Tea Time. It's always different. So, and I will see everyone next Thursday with 3 shows, 3 new topics, and we will see you all next Thursday, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. And again, thank you, Ashley, for joining me tonight on Tea Time.